Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. The title sponsor of Manny Talks Shooting is Go Fast Don't Suck. So if you need match banners for your match, check them out. They also have an awesome selection of pre-designed and customable jerseys. Don't forget, they are the home of the dry fire decals for your walls, so get those too. They've also got a plethora of patches and stickers that are hilarious and true. You know, Go Fast Don't Suck has a lot of things that you'll need on the range and off, so please check them out at gofastdon'tsuck.net. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back for another installment of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast on the internet, because I have to do it on the internet. This is the only way possible. And I am not Arik Levy, so this is how it's going to be. Anyway, I am sitting down with a friend of a friend. People call him the God of 92s or the Messiah. I don't know. It's Les Kismartoni, who wants less pepperoni. How you doing, Les?
Great. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for sitting down with me. I think I got beaten up enough by enough of your friends to be like, why isn't Les been on the show yet? And it's like, fair point, men. Fair point.
No.
But
well, if Les would shoot more often, then
hey, you don't need to shoot much more because you are a distinguished master.
Oh boy, yeah.
You can hang it. You can hang it up right after that. It's like, I'm done. I don't need to shoot anymore.
I'm good. No.
Yeah, no, exactly. But no, it's going to be a good show. People, if you don't know who Mr. Les Kismartoni is, you will find out soon enough. I've had a couple of his good friends on, like Brandon Powers, Eric Camps, and Matt Little. So all those good men. I think you need to go see your friend Matt Little again to play on his machine in the middle of the night, because it's just you have to break high scores.
that was he set it up in his shooting room, and the last time I was there I was a bit out of practice, but I could probably break a couple of those high scores now, and but he's moved on to what is that, the virtual shooting thing, or
Ace
is that it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So which is kind of cool. Like I think there were a couple people who were kind of talking back and forth about the merits of it and everything, but I don't know. The Sammy shooting game, this old Sega arcade system, was really cool just because it paralleled a lot of like the good aspects of practical shooting. Where like there's kind of a trick to the game. If you don't miss any shots, then you get 100-point bonus. So it's really like this very big encouragement for you to shoot clean and shoot in pocket, and then it's like, that's kind of funny, because if you shoot matches and you don't really miss any points, then you'll generally finish higher. Mm-hmm. It's like, let that be a lesson. It's like maybe these arcade game designers actually got it right. But it's kind of funny. I really tried to hunt down the people who were the design team behind the game, mm-hmm. the old Thomas Wave game, and unfortunately, a Thomas Wave in the States is long gone, because they don't really make a lot of arcade games anymore, and Sega USA is now turned into something totally different and whatever. And I think maybe somebody in Japan might still know, but we're getting on, I think at this point, 20, 23, 24 years since that came out. So I think the people behind the game, it'd be kind of harder to track them down, but that'd be kind of neat just to find out like who was actually into practical shooting, because when they designed the game it was pretty neat. But anyway, I digress. Yeah.
It's okay. So hey, now that he's playing Ace, maybe he'll sell you the machine at like pennies on the dollar.
Right, there you go. Right,
and then and then he'll pay to ship it to your house and be like,
yeah, I'll have to cannibalize it for spare parts. I constantly like comb through eBay looking for like old spare parts and the old optic guns and stuff like that. But my Frankensteining of everything together, trying to put like a red dot on like one of those guns, it kind of it's okay, but they're it's tough. It's not perfect. So oh well.
It's okay.
Yeah.
The dreams of reality and finding things on eBay, it'll be okay. But
right.
So Les, for the people who don't know you, who are you and how'd you get into shooting?
Sure. I'm Les Kismartoni. I live in Florida now. I grew up around Chicago, and wasn't really into guns. I didn't get into guns until really like my late 20s. I had a friend of mine who he kind of grew up around guns. His dad was a cop, and I want to say just outside of Chicago. And he took me to my first manufacturer shoot at one of the local ranges there. And they hand you a 45 and say, go shoot the target. And it's like, wow, this is cool. And your hands are trembling and whatever. And I found that I could actually line up the sights, and it made a lot of sense. And I had a lot of fun with it. So it's like, I'm hooked. I need to buy a gun. So I also kind of got interested in shooting. We lived in a weird neighborhood in Chicago. It was gentrifying, but it was still pretty rough neighborhood, Humboldt Park. Mm-hmm. And having something in the house, whether it was legal or not or whatever, don't ask, don't tell. It kind of was peace of mind. So so I bought an old 357 revolver, and that was the hand cannon that lived in the desk drawer and everything. So it wasn't until much later I was actually at the range. I used to go shoot like a 22 revolver and just kind of have fun, marksmanship. And I showed up on the wrong night, and they were actually shooting USPSA, and I was like, oh my God, this is really neat. I'd love to do this. And I kind of got hooked. There was a really, really good guy. A lot of people in the Midwest may remember Jerry Gardner. He passed away a few years ago, passed away about 5 years ago now. And Jerry was the guy who really got me into a lot of shooting, and got me involved with the club that I shot at, which is McHenry IPSC, which is where Camps is now the president. Matt Little got his start there, and a whole bunch of people up at the Alpha Range, like Donovan Moore, Point One Tactics, right, and Max Klatt, whether you love him or hate him, Nine Grenade, as his Instagram is, and a couple other people. Like it's a great place, and a lot of people. Mike General, when he's in town, I think he used to shoot there. But we had a lot of people who really made that club very special, and encouraged a lot of people to take up practical shooting in USPSA, and it was a neat place. So, but yeah, that's how I kind of got started with McHenry IPSC and shooting IPSC. Then they had another club there. We used to go on break during the hot summer months and everything, shooting indoors with no ventilation. Kind of sucks. But there was a IDPA club that kept shooting, and I said, well, shooting is shooting. Marksmanship is kind of fun, so I'll go and do that, and kind of got hooked on that sport as well. And so I've shot both IDPA and USPSA, and I think that's been, how should I say it? It's interesting. It's just because they're slightly different mental challenges, all the arbitrary rules in IDPA, and then you're just trying to really have a stellar breakout performance in USPSA. I think the two kind of balance each other because you need to have a very strong mental game in both. And they, if you look past their differences, of which there are many, then you start to realize that shooting both actually makes you a better competitor and overall. And that was kind of fun to do. So, but anyway, I was in IT for a long time. I switched over about a year ago to law enforcement, which has been a really weird trip. The institutionalized learning and everything there we could talk about for a while. It's very different than what people are doing in USPSA or practical shooting in general. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Oh, and I like Beretta 92s a lot. They're great. Yeah.
Now, the true question is, do you have one tattooed on your body yet?
No, I don't. Maybe that guy, Lauren Mitschke, he does drawn fire art, right? With like a hand solo with like the what is it? Not Randall special. You know what I'm talking about? The Glocks with the caps in it. But he drew the gorilla with the Beretta and all that. That'd be kind of cool to get tattooed. But no, I haven't done that. I think my wife would be mortified. So no, not yet. Not yet.
Well, yeah, hey, you haven't gone through a midlife crisis yet, so you're going to be fine.
Well, maybe I don't know. We could debate that one, but yeah. But I do have some stellar Berettas right here, so
Yeah, nothing wrong with Berettas, even though
yeah,
they still have. Okay, that one's respectable because it has a red dot on it.
yeah.
It's not completely archaic.
The Franken Beretta, yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, there,
Oh well,
nothing wrong
yeah,
with tinkering guns either. But
no,
so you said Gary Gardner kind of got you up, brought you into that kind of club in that sport. You
yeah.
said he passed away a few years ago. Was he like a mentor, or is he kind of just gave you the stepping stones to then meet all those awesome guys?
A little bit of both. Jerry was a real can-do person. I think the people who might remember him, who may be listening, I don't know if any of the new demographic. There's been a lot of turnover, of course, and practical shooting. People get into it and then get out of it. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of the people in the Midwest who may remember Jerry just remember as a very capable guy. He's the type of guy that would go shoot a match and turn around and go work on his car or his truck. And he's kind of like a Clint Eastwood figure in a way, in a very positive way. And he wasn't the greatest shooter, but he had fun with it. And I think that's the biggest thing, especially, there's all this politics in USPSA, but at heart, when people show up and shoot a local match and you're hanging out with your friends and you're going to go catch a couple beers afterwards or something, it's a lot of fun. And you really get to know and cherish those friendships because of that sport. And I think Jerry really embraced that. So he had fun shooting. He wasn't, I mean, he wasn't a great shooter. He was like a C-class shooter, but he had a lot of fun with it. He traveled to some of the bigger matches, and he tried to help out in the ways that he could. And I mean, he was a very old man, in his 80s, and he was still doing it and still getting around and still blasting. It was pretty awesome. Um, but he did put me in touch with a lot of the people who were interested in practical shooting, who then became, match directors and who stewarded other clubs in the region going forward. And that was always really, it's always good to know those people, like who's putting on the matches and who puts on a quality match, and the match directors helping each other out. That's a big deal too, so that the stages are better and it's not just so contrived, and it's not just a 32 round speed shoot, very USPSA, early 2000, early mid 2000 style. And it's just like, okay, great. We're just hosing targets here, but like, what can we do that's a little more interesting? So, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
So,
that has got to be fun, and it's great to hear people like Jerry, right? Those mentors, the people who weren't the best shooters, but great people to be hanging around with and have fun with. And those are the people that you have lasting memories of. And
yeah,
I mean,
undoubtedly.
and you can't forget Max Klatt. I mean, love him or hate him, you can't forget Max Klatt.
No.
I'll tell a quick story. The first time I met Max Klatt was at the Ryan Rocks Charity Blast. Did you ever shoot that match when you were up here?
No, I didn't get the chance to. They always had that in, what was it? And it was a pretty early match, right? In May or something like that, or
I mean, maybe in the beginning, but I think it ended up for being in July for a while.
okay, all right. Maybe that was the reason. Like, I tended to take a little bit of a break in July, in the hottest months and everything. That's why I never shot like, what was it? Like they used to have like the big or area match out in Nebraska. It was like a Sherwin's range.
Area 3.
Area 3. I think that was like, I never shot an Area 3 championship, which always had a hallmark of being a really tough match, but it was, a million degrees in Nebraska. It's like, who the hell wants to go and shoot? And so if I take a couple of weeks off and go fishing and kind of hang out and go travel, then hey, I'll get back to it. So it was kind of nice to take a little like pause during the hottest section of the year. So, but you were saying Max?
Yeah. So the first time I ever met Max Klatt is it was raining like no other on this last Sunday of the match, and all I hear is Max swearing as he slides down this hill, of mud, and it's just like, oh Lord.
Yeah.
And you don't And not to say Max, because after Max shot, you see, yeah, he's a really good shooter, but you don't expect Max to be like the best shooter until he lays it down with his open gun when you've never met the man before. And you're like, this guy, because we've all met those people who are all talk, no show, but Max can talk and show. So but he definitely has the appearance of not doing very well because of his stature. But I met Max that day and he impressed me. And I respect him for being who he is because we need those people.
Oh, totally. He's pretty vocal. Very vocal. Yeah, that's pretty vocal is an understatement of the century. But hey, everybody's entitled to opinions, and the really well-formed ones or entertaining ones. Those are pretty good. But he's got a big heart. Yeah, I mean, he's helped so many people, and he's really done amazing stuff for the club. For McHenry IPSC to keep people shooting and keep that club moving forward and keep people interested and keep the stages interested. I think that this is one of the bigger problems in practical shooting, and I don't want to digress too far from whatever topic you've got next, but I think there's this, and maybe this is part of some of the discussion, and I don't want to get too political here, but it is an all-volunteer sport, and it's the same people who keep going out and setting up matches. It's the same people who keep putting in good stages and trying to encourage more people to help out, take the helm, and do all that. And it becomes pretty exhausting. And it takes a team. It's a group effort. And I think when people have a good team, they surround themselves with a really good group, then it makes those matches so much better, and it makes that club and that community so much stronger because you've got really good shooters and they're willing to help out. You've got people putting on really good stages, which are a good test, and it's preparing people who are even at a moderate class level to actually go out and be tested the way they would at a larger sectional or area match. And it's funneling that in. It's not just, hey, it's Monday night, let's shoot, So it's easy to phone it in too, but yeah.
Well, and it feels like, at least in the Midwest, from what I've seen from different stages or matches I've shot, is that we do prefer a more technical match within the means, the confines of the clubs, because we do like shooting those more challenging stages. And I think you see something that at Alpha, they've got 3 little bays, and they're able to through a 6-stage match in the ground and
two bays.
Oh, that's right, it's 2 bays, 2 bays. And then flip it around and shoot really technical stages in there is impressive, and a lot of outdoor clubs aren't capable of putting that technical of a match on.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it helps that the indoor match system that we had at Alpha was pretty interesting in the sense that everything's right there in the back of the room. So you want to shoot, hard transitions and you want to practice those, hey, we've got a movable backstop. We'll just wheel it out and do that. And it was great when I was there. We could still shoot into the walls. The walls were up armored, and that's kind of gone by the wayside now. But it was fun just stapling targets to the rubber tile, run a bill drill to the wall. It feels a little weird the first couple times you do it, but anyway. But it was neat because, hey, you want to, the steel's stacked up in the back of the range, and you don't have very far to walk. You don't need to stake anything down. The wall systems that they had there at Alpha were really well designed and really well made. So it was pretty easy to hang up whatever props you wanted to do, and it was we put a lot of thought and effort into that. And I don't know how it's changed now, but that was neat. Outdoor matches, when you have like a giant rifle bay and you've got to haul everything from some Connex or whatever all the way back out, and you need a pickup truck and a team of mules and whatever and all that stuff. It can be more of a pain in the ass. I get it, but yeah, so kudos to the people who are out there doing that work though and making it interesting for everybody else. I think those are the unsung heroes of USPSA and IDPA. And if you see your match director, you owe him a beer and a burger and a big heartfelt thank you and that sort of thing. So to the people who are listening, pay it forward. Be good to those people. But yeah,
Oh, 100%. I definitely agree with giving back and telling the match director the kudos that they really need. But I did get this. Well, I guess what made you originally decide to start shooting the 92?
Um, Ben Steger, he we we were taking a class up in, gosh, where was it? Eau Claire? Maybe not Eau Claire. I think. Anyway, we were taking a class in northern Wisconsin. There was a group of us that had traveled up from Chicago to do that, and we were razzing him mercilessly about how much the Beretta sucked and everything, and we were just joking about it, but um, he left his gun on like the safe area and whatever, and you start like clicking away at it, and it's like, wow, this is actually a pretty easy gun to shoot, and the sights are good, and feels good in the hand and everything, and it's a metal gun. I was shooting a Glock at the time that kind of noodles around, and I was like, huh, Then I asked him, hey, can I shoot a couple rounds, and then you go from that double trigger to single action, and it's like, wow, okay, this is pretty easy to line up and shoot, and it's a very soft recoiling gun, especially if you've got it loaded with some, I don't want to say sub minor, but like 128 power factor or something like that, 147s, and you've got a whole bunch of grease packed into it like he used to. I mean, it was a very soft recoiling gun, very flat shooting, so it was fun. I immediately liked it and said, huh, I could probably get used to this, and um, I was shooting a Glock and 40 cal. It sounds stupid in hindsight now, but I just really didn't know enough about guns when I first started shooting. I didn't like when I first started shooting and being interested in USPSA before I really got to know Jerry. Kind of went to the gun store and was like, "Hey, I need a gun, my good man. What do you have?" And they're like, "Well, why don't you buy a Glock?" And I was like, "Great." And then I was like, "Which Glock should I get? Should I get a 45?" And they're like, "Well, 45 ammo is expensive, but you could buy a 40 or a 9." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's cool." Mas Ayub said you should shoot the caliber that the police shoot and whatever. It's like, everybody's shooting 40 cal. They look the same. They fit the same holster. There are only two flavors of 40 cal, 180 grain and 165. And I was like, I guess I'll shoot 40 cal. 9 millimeter, you had like 147 plus P plus P plus 124 NATO, 115 grain. I don't know. I don't like, just give me the 40. And it was like $50 cheaper. So, yeah, that was not the best decision, but it was a decision, and it got me into shooting, and it was a lot of fun. And I shot 40 in production for forever. I made master on that thing, and then switched to 9 millimeter, and I've been shooting 9 ever since. Even when I shot like limited minor, then it's like just that was the whole point of like shooting appendix. It's like you could put the gun wherever and then just load it up and go have at it. It's like, that's cool. 9 is fine. So, yeah.
Yeah, the odd benefit of shooting 40 minor in production is you get a bigger hole. Easier to get those alphas with that bigger bullet.
Yeah. I mean, oh man, you could have some stupid soft recoiling loads. Like another guy who shot 40 minor in production for a long time, and who also lives here in Florida. I usually shoot with him on Monday nights, and today is a Monday night, but our match was canceled anyway. But is Matt Olenchak, super tactical, and Olenchak is a hell of a shooter, and it's amazingly hilarious to watch him get really pissed off and like smash his ear pro. We actually took a look at like his Amazon order history, and it's like ear pro, ear pro, ear pro, ear pro. Like he goes through and smashes his ear pro when he gets mad. It's like classic Matt, hallmark Matt Olenchak. But yeah, he shot it was hard to find those Tanfolio 9s when Ben started shooting those. So he bought a Tanfolio 40 and figured out, I'll shoot limited and I'll shoot production. I'll just download it. But yeah, you could shoot like a 135 grain bullet, and it was super soft, made power factor easily, and it was just, yeah, it was kind of a fun caliber to shoot in I mean, it was like so soft, like it's almost cheating. It was, and you're still like 5 over the power floor, so it's easily making 130 power factor with like 135 grain bullet. It's like, oh my God, this is really, really easy. So it was neat. It was accurate enough too. So, but if you're shooting 50-yard groups, then maybe not, but what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah.
So you said you normally shoot Monday nights at an indoor range. I'm assuming, which is kind of nice. It's always nice to shoot on the weekdays, and honestly, it's kind of nice because you just unload your carry gun and just shoot your carry gun at the match, don't you?
Yeah, I mean that's what I did for a long time. Lately I've been shooting from a race rig again. I'm put together this Franken gun and everything, and yeah, you could shoot this. It's a bit heavy. This is like one of those 92X performance frames, and it's got a little more heft. But when it was in its stock form with just the LTT lower, then I would actually carry this and shoot it, and it does great. But yeah, I mean, I carried 92 a lot, and then but yeah, I mean, hey, whatever floats the boat that night. Sometimes I just want to shoot appendix. Sometimes I'll go out there and shoot with a race rig. Sometimes I'll mess around with the duty rig and whatever, and just see how that goes. So that's been interesting. It's been interesting relearning how to shoot a Glock lately, and yeah, it's been good. I can't complain.
You don't turn your nose up at your Glock, do you?
No, I really liked. They have the model 45. It's like a 19 and a 17 had a baby, long grip frame and what you'll call short slide. And that seems like a pretty nice little pistol. So I don't mind it. The agency's moving to red dots, so it'll be interesting kind of relearning that, which has been the whole point for shooting the carry optic gun again. So I gotta figure out what we're gonna do and whatever. So, but no, Glock's a great gun. I think there's so many great guns out there too. I mean, of course, I love the Bred 92, and I've done a lot of work on the 92s, and I've helped a lot of people kind of get their 92s set up. And the Langdons are wonderful people. I still, the number of questions that I've had about 92s have gone down significantly just because I've been unfortunately busy with some family stuff in the last year and this like odd career change. But it used to be probably like 10 questions or more a week. But there's so many cool other guns out there. I really like the old SIG 226, which is, I know, DASA gun, but Glock's a nice pistol. Not the biggest fan of the 320. It's just something about the way it sits in my hand that I didn't like. I've had to shoot a couple when we've worked at Waft, which is the place just by Orlando. It's kind of an interesting place, and they since they're sponsored and they're a big SIG sponsor, I have to strap on a SIG 320 or 320 with like one of their optics, and they shoot pretty okay, but there's still something about like the way the gun sits. It's not my preference, but hey, to each their own. Whatever fits and works, that's what people should use, and they should explore and see what options are available to them. But yeah, I'm not a big 1911 fan. I haven't really hid that. I've shot one in bullseye for a while back, a long time ago, but I do like some of the aspects of 1911, but like from competing from practical shooting, I'm terrible with them. Like the skinny mag and I've got big hands, so what do I do with my hands? But like the way I hold the gun tends not to engage properly the grip safety, and unless you disable it, which is kind of a no-no on IDPA and everything. So it hasn't worked out well for me with the 2011s or 1911s, unfortunately. So I tend to steer away from those, but that's just a preferential thing. So, but yeah.
Well, and speaking about questions with, getting lots of questions about the 92, how many times has your archaic antique sight pusher been sent around the world or around the country?
Wow. I have lost count at this point, and that reminds me, I think I need to send that to Brandon Powers, because I promised him I'd send it, and then I think he said, no, I don't need it, but then I think he still needs it. So I don't know. But it's been at least like 30 or 40 people who've used it. I get requests for it So I'd send it, and then I'd just have the person send it to the next person. And then I think the longest hop was like 7 people. So they like forwarded 7 times, and then finally like made its way back home. But yeah, I haven't sent it out lately in a little bit. But if anybody needs a Beretta 92 site pusher and wants to borrow it, then I'd be happy to send it to you, and then just send it back. So you don't have to go out there and buy your own if you don't need it. But
Well, and how many boxes has that gone through? Because I'm assuming it's just covered in tape.
yeah, it's what one box. It's still just it's wrapped in packing tape. It's actually holding up pretty well. So it's kind of funny. It's the feel free to snicker at the name. It's the BJ 2000 or the B&J Tool Company 2000. It's like, oh, that's a great name. No offense to BJ Norris, but
He shot Berettas for a minute, didn't he?
yeah, I think he still does. He's an awesome dude. Speaking of the guy, I think he made a career shift into law enforcement as well, and we were on the Wilson Combat Team for a while. But he's a great guy. But yeah, that sight pusher tool that has gone around the world, and I don't think they make them. It was like 200 and some bucks or whatever, and I mean it's pretty well made. So you don't realize how much, how many like foot pounds of pressure are actually on there to like stake a sight well and everything, and break through the staking on some of the sights that have been staked in the front on the Berettas. They have like a dovetail now. But the rear sights always glide in and out easy, but it's the front sight. Car pistols used to be the worst too. And the sight pusher works on those. It's like you can drive those out really easy. You just keep torquing on it, and they break with like a snap, and then they slide right out, which is great because that dovetail is just so freaking tight. So, but yeah, car pistols. Who the hell shoots those anymore, right?
They even make that brand anymore?
Yeah, they do. I still have mine, and I do carry from time to time a little 9mm, but they were ahead of the game. They had a little polymer single stack 9mm PM9. It's a fine gun, accurate gun, but it seems to work. And now, of course, we've got like the Beretta, or excuse me, the Glock 43, 48. X or whatever, so all those little micro 9s and everything, and then 365. It's maybe, the car is maybe a bit antiquated design wise, but oh well. But they're good guns, yeah.
Right. So Ben Hart wants to know, what is it like to smack around 22-year-old cadet recruits?
Oh, that was fun. Yeah, so I do a lot of jiu-jitsu. I'm wearing a Gordon Ryan cap. If anybody knows, big Gordon Ryan fan. I love jiu-jitsu. I'm not great at it, but you don't have to be great at it when people don't know how to do it. And yeah, it was fun. It was very odd being in your mid 40s, dealing with a whole bunch of like 20-year-olds and mid 20-year-olds in an academy, and it was it's pretty strange. It's all your references at like movies and music and whatever just sail over the head of everybody else, and half the time they're speaking a different thing language wise. You don't even know if it's English or not, and it's like, wow, I never knew that was anyway. But yeah, it was fun. And then it's odd when you out PT them and you out wrestle them and you outshoot them, and then they're like, oh my god, like who is this guy? Is this Jason Bourne or something like that? So it's like, you're surprised they even knew that movie. But yeah, it was fun. But there are a couple of really great people there too. But yeah, there's some real pussies there. So pardon my French, but yeah.
Well, they're cut from a different cloth, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I bet they didn't even know what Star Wars was, or like that there was only 3 movies, and there still should only be 3 movies.
Yes. Yeah. Correct. Right. Yeah. Yeah. We had a couple guys who were really big into. There were a couple guys who were really into Star Wars, and they loved it. And they loved the Mandalorian thing and whatever. So that was kind of neat to have some common ground. But at the same time, it was Yeah, I get everything from grandpa. They called me dad for a long time. So it was, it was fun. You know, I care about those people a lot, and I hope they do well in their new chosen career and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I certainly tried to help a lot of them out with certainly the wrestling aspects, at least from an aspect of, you have to fight some people and whatever, and get into the boxing ring and punch each other and everything, and kind of go easy on some people or whatever, and um, at least keep them safe and make sure tensions don't rise too much. Be mature about it, and then also helped a lot of people. We shot. God, I'm trying to think of like how much 22 ammo we went through. I think we went through like probably like 4 or 5 bricks of
Mm-hmm.
22, just trying to get people's basic marksmanship back kind of on the level. So, it was very strange to have 28 people in a class, and of which maybe 4 people had ever handled a gun. And one of them being me, who's completely off the chart, on one level of weaponized autism, as far as practical shooting goes, and then 3 people who've like, oh, I've worked in a gun store and I've shot a couple, and one guy owns a gun, and the other, and then the rest of the people, they don't know which end the bullet comes out of. They've never held a gun, and they need to learn something to go from complete zero to at least passing the state qual and not shooting each other or themselves in like a matter of 2 weeks. And I've got a lot of respect for the instructors, because that's a tall order. Um, and But yeah, we put in a lot of time after hours because we had the range until closing and whatever. I'd sit there and we just shoot like this old little Beretta. Um, it's the Beretta Puma, was a 32 caliber. It's the Beretta Jaguar. It's like a little
Mm-hmm.
22. We shot so much through that thing, and just because the manual of arms is a little more like the Ruger Mark One that I have is pretty antiquated. So this thing, you could actually drop the magazine and whatever, but a little closer to the pistols that they were using, and just try and work on trigger press and sight alignment and everything. It was a big deal. So, but yeah, now all my 22 ammo's gone. So, yeah, oh well, it was for a good cause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good cause. But you can't buy it for what you shot it. You can't replace it for what you bought it for at all.
No, no, that ship has sailed, right? Hey, yeah, at least it wasn't burning up primers or something like that. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's for sure.
yeah.
Um, but Eric, thank you for watching another episode of Manny Talks Shooting. I greatly appreciate it. And if you could do me a favor, please go patronize our sponsors here when you are available. We've got Hunters HD Gold, Go Fast Don't Suck, Outdoor Dynamics, Make Stuff Better, Range Panda, Southern Barbecue, Laugh and Load, Summit City Bullets, 2 Alpha Apparel, and Tom Castro Shoot Academy. Now let's get back to this episode. Eric wants to know, when will you kind of be coming back to the world of competition?
Yeah, so it's been weird with a whole bunch of family stuff and going on. Um, I've had to hit the pause button, and it sucks. The only really big match that I did, well, actually, in last June, I drove up to Illinois. I shot the Illinois State IDPA Championship. I just needed to take a road trip, and that was really fun. I did pretty well in that match. Wasn't my best, but I did okay. I shot the IDPA World Championship in Talladega in October. I finished seventh. That was a rough match, and I shot the whole thing in one day. Um,
Oof.
yeah, it was not the best headspace, but I did okay. I shot fairly clean. Didn't shoot any no shoots. Down a couple too many points to really be somebody, but and a little slow. But what are you going to do? I'd really love to get back to it coming up into this year and next year. I've got a Mark 7 reloader machine, and my friend Tom Carlson, I got to drag him up here from Fort Myers to help me set it up. I've had an old forked automation. It's the rotary drive chain machine,
Mm-hmm.
and that thing has loaded a lot of rounds, and it's it's still in very good condition. And I've got a guy who I shoot with who owns a bike store, and if anybody can keep it running, it's this guy. He's very mechanically inclined. I just don't want to replace it with this Mark 7 because it can churn out rounds at a far faster rate. So I'm not very picky with ammo. So I have a couple of recipes, and I just kind of stick to that plan, and then I can churn out ammo and then kind of be on my merry way. Um, we've been doing a lot of home remodeling as well, so that's kept me out of the garage where I had everything set up. I'm bringing everything inside. Florida is very humid. If you don't run AC outside, it's very hot, and at least the machine isn't a different temperature. The temperature gradient, when you get like water condensing on the metal, that's what leads to a lot of rust. But after a number of years of this stuff just being out in the garage, it needs to be bought inside. So, but yeah, that's kind of the next big focus is I need to set up the reloading press and kind of get that process back into full swing, and then I can actually start to shoot a little bit more and get back to some of the really cool matches that we've got in the area on the weekends, and that'll be a lot of fun. There's been a lot with the new profession too, which has just been trying to do well with that and see where all that goes. So, that's another decision too. Do I stick with iron sights and shoot in the Beretta, or do I go to the optic, same system that we're using for work or whatever? What will make sense? So I have a couple of decisions ahead of me, and it'll be fun. I think I'm going to shoot carry optics going forward for the foreseeable future, but I don't know if it's going to be on the 92 or on the Glock, and we'll see where it goes. So, but yeah.
Yeah. So how does it feel to be a distinguished master?
I mean, I don't know. Beer tastes pretty good, and steak is great. But you know, here's one of the things. It doesn't feel any different. If you like shooting and you shoot well, then you'll figure it out. It's a neat accolade to have under your belt, and it's something fun to celebrate, like the good times. But it's not the end all be all. If you like shooting, you're going to continue shooting. It's not like there's a start, middle, and end. You should do things because you really enjoy doing them, and you like the process of learning, and you like the process of competing, and you like what it gives you for those reasons. The external awards and accolades or whatever are kind of they're neat milestones and markers, but it isn't something which is you wake up and you've got shit to do on a Monday, like fix your car, take your sick kid to that urgent care or whatever, and being a DM doesn't make any damn difference, whether or not you're going to do that or not. You got stuff to do. As far as looking back on things, though, it's really weird. Like when I first started shooting, and I said I got to it pretty late in life. It's neat because you see how far you can go. I'm just a dude. I live in Florida. Like I don't know. Maybe I figured something of it out just by tenacity and the willingness to do the work. But I was really terrible at this stuff when I started, and it took a long time for me to learn how to shoot well, and it took a lot of effort to become good at it. And it's neat to see how far you can go if you put in that work. I never thought I'd be a grandmaster. I never thought I'd win IDPA nationals, and then here you are. It's like you put in the work and you enjoy the process, and all of a sudden things become possible. They start happening for you. That's a good feeling. That's everybody should be open to that, right? You're not born with a fixed amount of talent. You're born with an unlimited amount of talent, and as long as you are embracing that like growth mindset, then you're capable of doing anything, really. So
yeah. So when you won that match, were you tracking scores, or was it a shock by the end of the match, or did you knew you did really well?
We shot it. So Brandon and I ended up shooting in that match was out in Colorado. That was out in Grand Junction, which is an awesome range, by the way. And I'm sad that there were so many political things that happened that kept USPSA from going to that range. But they may or may not have been necessary and whatever. But I digress. We shot the match. We shot it early, and we just shot together. We had a great time. We shot with Gorka, who runs the ranges out here in Florida, of course, right? Gorka and Ibanez, and awesome guy. And we had a great time. We shot. We had a lot of fun. We stayed at the same Airbnb Brandon and I did, and it was just great. We're grilling burgers and kind of hanging out and everything every night. And we got done with the match early, and then we bounced out. I had to fly to Georgia because I was shooting the North Georgia sectional or something like that, or I don't know, some cool match where they take the targets for you and whatever. And it was strange. I went from shooting an iron-sighted gun in a strong-side holster because it was before you could shoot appendix and IDPA to shooting a optic gun in a appendix holster from concealment for the North Georgia sectional or whatever it was. And I shot that match, and then I didn't know what the scores were going to be. And when I was done with the match, I was actually out for sushi when I got like a text from Amy Langdon that said, "Hey, congrats, you won nationals." It's like, holy shit, I won nationals! Oh my god! And then I forget who I was with. I was with Chris Cozell and who's the other guy who used to work for Mark 7, who's Go Shoot Win.
Vlieger, John Vlieger.
Yeah, Vlieger. We were out for sushi, and he's like, "You're an idiot. You won the Bud Sport." And it's like, "Yeah, thanks, John. Call me when you're a national champion." Oh, but no, he was. It was great. The shit talking was a lot of fun, but it was fun. So that's how I knew. I didn't track scores. I tend not to. There are times when, if I'm shooting on the second day of a competition, then I will look at scores just to try and figure out what some of the high hit factors are, or see if somebody's having a good match or a bad match, or what stages are going to be like the trouble areas. But it's more just a little bit of pre-planning then. But I try not to track a lot of like hit factors and whatever. Like after the match, after you've shot, like you're kind of done. So hang your hat on it and call it good. Like whatever happens is going to happen at that point. If someone's better and they're having a great day, like a seriously breakout day, then okay, they're going to win. If they're not, and you had a pretty good performance, then you'll probably do okay. If you sometimes that pre-planning though does help a little bit to try and figure out if you should gas it up a little bit and shoot a little less in pocket, a little more, take a little more risk, or a little quicker versus not. And so if anything, I tend to do that. I'll shoot a little too conservative in some matches if I'm shooting early, just because I don't know exactly what to gauge it off of. So when I have that milestone, it's a little bit easier to do something. So.
Right. Well, and you said you shot with Gorka, and you guys were competing directly against each other, which is nice because Gorka is a high level shooter. So you get lucky there. So at least you're not like completely in the dark on stages.
Oh, totally. Yeah. But the nice thing about Gorka, and this is what I love, is we would look at stages, and whoever, it boils down to whoever's going to shoot better, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, if Gorka did have some gun trouble and stuff like that, and it's like you feel it in the pit of your stomach. You're like, oh my god, like that is a terrible feeling, being a competitor, that something didn't work or something didn't line up right, and it's like, oh my god, like that is the worst feeling. It's like, what can I do to make it better? What can I do to help, or whatever? Like, how can I scrounge whatever for him, or anything? That's not the way to win. You want to, you help each other out, even though you're competing. You're trying to figure out how to do things better, faster, trying to gamble and figure out if you should take the risks or not, or whatever. And some people based off of their personality, are going to say, okay, I'm going to take this risk, or I'm not going to take this risk, and it's kind of fun. You should be rooting for each other. It's just a game at the end of the day, right? It's just a game. I'm not sitting here collecting a fat paycheck from USPSA or IDPA. You know, that's the joke. Once you make GM, the check's in the mail. The check never arrives. But yeah, you should want people to do the best that they can, and if they whoop you, great, they whoop you. Hey, you're gonna have to figure it out. So that should be the juice to do better next time. So, but yeah,
absolutely, and and it's nice to no one ever wants to see someone's gun go down or whatnot. We always want to help each other out because that could be you someday, and you want their favor returned to you, and
yeah.
But it's always an interesting mental state too. To be like, what can I do? What can or it's always the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, or or it's did you feel like you really won because someone had issues? There's always those if, whats, or buts. It's always
I mean,
it always goes through everyone's brain.
I'll say when I did shoot IDPA nationals and won, I had a solid match. I can say I don't think I made any errors that year. And when I look back at like who else was shooting, there's some very good shooters. Pat Doyle, he's an amazing shooter, amazing IDPA shooter, another Wilson Combat guy. I mean, he was right there, couple percent behind. It was a commanding performance percentage wise, looking back on it, and it was good, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun to do that. So, but yeah, and then Gorka won. I think in 2021 he won the Florida State Championship, and then I went down to Miami, and then I won the South Florida Defensive Championship in IDPA. We were both shooting ESP. And then I remember getting there. I was like, I'm not shooting ESP. I should be shooting SSP. And they were like, oh, you're shooting ESP now. You registered under ESP. We can't change it. I was like, oh, okay. So I texted Gorka. I remember I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm like, they won't let me change it to SSP. But anyway, and then I shot ESP because I had enough points at that point in ESP to shoot nationals for ESP in 2021. So that's why I shot ESP with the Beretta 92, which is it ESP or is it SSP or who knows? Is it a duck or a goose or a swan or whatever? But the distinction between ESP and SSP has always been a little bit strange anyway, but I don't quite get it. But
yeah, when you shot ESP, was that right after the rule change to 15 rounds, or is that after that?
That was the next year. So the year that I won, we were still shooting 10 rounds for ESP. And then it was a year after in 2022 where I think it went to 15 round capacity for ESP. So, yeah.
Gotcha. So, yeah, it's well now they can shoot appendix and you can do all these cool things. You can have compensated guns now.
Wait, it was SSP now allows 15 rounds. So okay. It was in 2022 I shot SSP and then I got spanked by JJ. It was 7% behind him. So in SSP, and that was in 15 rounds, and that was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So first mortal, right?
Right.
So
now, did 15 rounds make a difference?
No, because you still have a reload. If an IDPA stage is capped at 18 rounds, like at some point you're going to have to check a reload in there. On some stages, you might be able to like swing through without a reload. If you're shooting clean and you shoot 16 rounds, it's only a 16 round stage. But no, not really. Like I don't think it made a appreciable difference in the sport. Like you still have to reload the gun at some point, and how you're carrying those reloads does make a little bit of a difference. So I was shooting from appendix with actually concealed magazine and everything like that, the tier 1 system, which I like quite a bit. Great holster, good presentation, carries your mag for you. It's easy on and off at the end of the day. And, but reloading from with a cover garment, it can introduce the element of risk. If the wind's blowing and it kind of masks the magazine, you get bound up in your shirt or something. But I think if you're reloading from like a strong side hip, or excuse me, a weak side hip pouch, it's probably a little quicker. So, but overall, no, it didn't make any difference in the sport. Like none of that shit matters, right? I mean, what matters is if somebody's shooting an optic gun versus a non-optic gun. And I think in open, if you're got like a load that will push a compensator and everything, and that sights on a bridge, I think that's maybe the only other big difference. But in all iron sight guns, it's all the same. Like it just, I don't think it matters. I don't think trigger weight matters, or type of sights, or whatever. Or if it's a polymer gun versus a metal frame gun, it doesn't matter, right? If it mattered, then you know, I don't know. It just, I don't think it does. Then Nils wouldn't be winning limited national shooting minor with a, what was it? The Turkish gun, the Kanik, yeah, Shanik. So, it just, I don't think it matters. So, yeah.
Yeah. Skill behind the person matters more than the gun, for the most part. I mean,
Yeah.
well, as long as your gun is a functional running gun. Now, if the gun becomes, if you're fiddling with the gun too much and it's not working, it's the gun's problem, not necessarily your problem.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
correct.
But it is your problem because you're using anyway, down the rabbit hole we go.
Right.
But I have to sidetrack back to a Chicago topic here, because we have had conversations about a proper hot dog. And the difficulty of finding poppy seed buns anywhere. You have to order them online.
You do. You can order them through, for a while, you could actually order them through Amazon. You could order the buns through Amazon, and they would actually send you the rosin poppy seed buns. You could freeze them down and whatever, and that would be good. Or if you had like there are a couple of like specialty stores that you could order that stuff. The sport peppers are another thing that's kind of tough to get if you're not in the Chicago area. Finding those little like sport peppers, those are kind of tough. But celery salt, that's easy. Mustard, that's easy. The nuclear green relish you can find pretty much anywhere. Heinz makes it, But yeah, that's tomato slices. That's easy enough. Oh, pickles, right? But yeah. But yeah, you gotta. That's a tough thing. I got Gabe White. Gabe White, right? Of course, right. I got him hooked on Chicago dogs. When he came to do a class in Chicago, we went to Portillo's, which is a good Chicago eatery, and then I was telling him, he's like, "Oh, you can't recreate these," and it's like, actually, you can with Amazon. So once in a while, in the past, he'd send me a picture of like, hey, we're having hot dog night at the family. It's like, oh, cool, but Now he just sends me stuff because he does music production. So Step Leopard Records, House Mafia. He did a whole bunch of like I don't even know what you'd want to call it. Like, yeah, it's like house, house beats and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. He's on Apple Music, and if you look it up, Leopard Step or Step Leopard.
Step.
Leopard Step.
Leopard Step.
Yeah.
Is he still teaching shooting, or is?
I'm not sure. I don't know if he's still doing the roadshow with shooting. I think a lot of that slowed down for him in 2020, but I think he's still doing a couple of the classes. But that was like the big thing. If you won like the turbo pin, then he had like all the different like animal avatars, the grizzly bear pin or the tiger pin or the leopard pin and all that stuff. So yeah, I think the last thing I sent Gabe White was actually like I found this really cool like tiger pattern bomber jacket, and I was just like, dude, you need this in your life, and it can go with your tiger pattern Adidas shoes and whatever. So anyway, but I digress.
That's still pretty cool, and it's the cool thing is you get to know people outside, through shooting, and you figure out what their hobbies are and what else they like to do, and that's the cool thing, right?
Yep. Tiki drinks. That's his other big hobby. Yeah. It's like, yeah.
You'd think that'd be a Florida guy thing, but he lives in the middle of nowhere.
Portland.
Oh, Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So he lives in the wet tundra of bullcrap.
Yes, I think he's been up in Portland for forever.
Yeah.
So I think he grew up. You ever see Goonies? They live close to like Olympia, Oregon, or Olympia, Washington, um, somewhere up in the Pacific Northwest coast. And I think that's where he kind of grew up, and then moved to Portland, and has been there ever since. Yeah,
And that's another movie that the 20-something-year-olds would not understand.
yeah, yeah.
Goonies never die. Goonies never die.
No, exactly. No, it's
Exactly.
awesome. Yeah.
Now, how many times did you have to scream at your phone whenever you see Tino and Ken post hot dogs with ketchup on them?
Oh my God. Yeah, yeah. That's a lot. You were wearing a Saker Speed shirt, Saker Speed Work shirt the other day, I think. But yeah, I had this picture of like a 44 mag while wearing like a Saker shirt, and I had like ketchup, and I was putting out a 44 mag. That's on my Instagram somewhere. I was making fun of them for shooting like optic guns, because my 44 mag had like an old one power scope, which is pretty ridiculous. Like why they made those things, I'm not sure. But anyway, they ketchup on hot dogs. It's like pineapple on pizza. Yeah. Which Brandon Powers tricked me into eating pineapple on pizza. I'm ashamed to admit it.
Did he hide it under the cheese or something?
No, he just ordered a pineapple pizza on the pizza, and then we got the pizza, and it's like, what in the fuck is the problem with you? And it's like,
and he's from Wisconsin.
Try it,
too.
You'll love it. And man, he makes really good pizzas too. I don't know if you've ever he'll post it on his Instagram. Like he's got like the big green egg, and he'll actually go out there and like make like a handmade, hand risen crust. It's like, man, it looks good. He's a good cook. Yeah. But it's still wrong. Yeah. It's still unholy. Yeah.
But you willingly ate it though. Well, I guess you probably weren't willingly. You were probably hungry, and it's like,
I was hungry.
I'm got to do what I got to do.
Hey man, some pizza is better than no pizza. Okay. It's like truck stop coffee. There is no such thing as bad coffee. If you need coffee, it's doable, So yeah. But where are you? You're in Michigan, right?
Yeah, I'm in Michigan. Yep.
Michigan.
Yeah. See, well, the camera's gonna do me injustice, but I live right about here.
Okay,
See,
I got you.
We annoying Michigan. So I'm about 3 hours outside of Chicago.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. How close are you to Dorr?
Dorr,
Michigan?
about hour and 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yep, because that's where South Kent Sportsman's Club is. I've only shot there once. I've been there twice because I ended up taking media pictures at one of the major matches there.
Okay.
I was supposed to work them. I was supposed to work that match, and then of course, my wife's birthday was the same weekend, so it was taboo. And then, and then I was like, well, I still got the one day, so I went up and took pictures. It was kind of cool. It was because I took pictures of Max, and I don't know if you've known Albert Yao from Chicago area, so I took pictures of them, and that was a fun time. But yeah,
amazing shooter. That guy's figured it out. Like, wow.
I love watching it when Albert has to get a step stool on a stage. He's like, I need the little box thing, and I'm going to jump off of it anyway.
Yeah, man, it's funny. Yeah, there's so many great people who've like kind of come out of the woodwork, and they found out about USPSA, and they're trying to get better. I think that's the most amazing part about the sport is if you go back 15 years to kind of, I don't want to say pre-YouTube, because YouTube was still kind of in its infancy. People didn't post a lot of match footage or anything like that. I'm trying to remember. There was an open shooter in Michigan, or no, he's from Ohio, I think by Dayton. Oh God, what's his name?
Keene? Chris Keene?
Yeah, Chris Keene. He was one of the first people to actually post really good first-person footage or good match footage of stuff, shooting USPSA matches, and that was really cool. That was one of the like amazing things that appeared on YouTube. So it was like, oh my God, wow! And he was a great shooter. I don't know if he still competes, but I hope he does.
Last time I saw Chris was in 2022. at the Michigan sectional.
Yeah.
But then I don't know if something like work got in the way or what, or just something. But I haven't seen him. I've seen that he shot a couple matches, but I haven't personally seen him. And it's really odd because he's a grandmaster and he still works major matches from time to time, which is
Yeah. Talk about a dude who's paying it back, right? Like paying it forward. Like solid guy. Like, yeah, that guy's been at it for a long time. And again, that's the ebbs and flows of life. We get busy doing stuff, or family stuff, work stuff, whatever, and that's a big deal. So, yeah,
it absolutely is.
But that's the interesting thing. 15 years ago, it was very hard to find a lot of shooting content. At that point, Ben hadn't written his book yet. I don't think Ben Steger was even competing back then, and I think he came a little bit later. I think the only books that were really published about practical shooting were J. Michael Plaxco's book, Shooting from Within, or something like that. And then, of course, you had the book by Enos, Beyond Fundamentals. And that if you could dig up some of the stuff from Ed McGivern and look at some of that, then that was about it. But there were we live in an amazing period because so much of the information is just so easy to get, whether you're on YouTube or IG or Reddit or whatever. Now, there's some bad info out there too, where I would say bad info that leads people down some rabbit holes and whatever. But at the same time, people who are competing, who have access to people who are master level or A level competitors that are going to set them in the right path, it kind of, shakes them free from doing like center axis relock shit or something like the John Wick stuff that doesn't really work or do anything for you, so other than look cool in the movies. So
yeah, exactly, or possibly get you sent home from a match because you do a wick flick and it's whoopsie.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, little 180 break, so yeah, but
right. So I've got a few more questions for you before we end our evening. But in your opinion, do you think Beretta would have gotten to an RDS Beretta 92 without Ernest's innovations?
Yeah. I mean, they've got a ton of engineers and a ton of really talented people, and I think they were looking for a way to do that. I think they would have figured it out at some point. I like the LTT system a lot. I think it the way the optics plates are made makes sense to a lot of people, and the way it mounts to the gun makes sense. From a economy of scale perspective with Beretta, I can see why they went with their own in-house system, just because it doesn't require specialized parts. You don't need to machine down the firing pin. You don't need to have a different system for the firing pin safety and etc. But I think Ernest had the first one on market, which was really one of those things where it was a kick in the ass that I think Beretta needed to show that, hey, there's actually really a lot of interest in this, and you should probably do it. Even now, their guns are set up where I don't think they have the correct sight heights on their correct height sights on their out of the box or anything like that. But I mean, they've made their decisions, and they've got people like JJ and Ben and Cameron and everybody shooting for them. They've got a lot of talent. So, I mean, the system works, and certainly won JJ a Carry Optics National Championship, which is amazing. So, I mean, I can't knock it too much because it seems to be working for some people, but I think there's room for both ways. Do you want the Langdon system, or do you want like the Beretta system? And it's just, you're kind of, they accomplish the same goal, right? But I mean, I really do appreciate like the fact it's just, carrying like a Langdon optic gun was a little bit, I'll say, I think the way it's set up, it just probably makes it sit a little bit better in the holster and whatnot. But I know that some of the guys are actually carrying their RDS Berettas, or their carry optic Berettas. for defense or whatever. So hey, if it works, it works.
Right. Absolutely. And it's always cool because you just supporting, I wouldn't call Langdon Tactical Technologies a small business anymore because, no, they're definitely not. I mean, I think they moved out of the garage, right?
I'm actually not positive. It's been a minute since I've actually had to do a lot for them or anything, but I think they probably still do. So maybe not all of it, but maybe they have some other stuff and they can contract with some people. But I think they're still doing stuff like that in the garage. So
yeah, and that's it's Amy and Ernest, employing local people, taking care of them, having their small business, which is awesome. But
yeah.
It's kind of cool to see where they, Ernest took the 92, and then, was able to, now he's doing cool things with, other Beretta models like the tip up and, which I have God, I can't remember the name, but other than I call it the tip up, it's got some silly name.
22 or 32?
It's 32 ACP.
32 Tomcat.
The Tomcat. See,
Tomcat,
and this was, one of my mother-in-law's, things that I'm holding on to her for the moment. And it's like, oh, this thing's cool. And it's in this little box, this wooden box with felt or something. It's shinier, but anyway, it's just sitting in this little box, and it's like,
is it one with the gold trigger?
No, it does not have a gold trigger.
Okay, yeah. So some of the I love some of those. That's actually the only little Beretta that I don't have. I don't have a 32 tip up, so I don't have the Tomcat. I really like the 22 long rifle one. I've got a 25. I've got a couple of each of these, and then the 22 short, which is called the Minx. I've got several of those, and those actually shoot pretty damn well. They're surprising little guns because they work and they don't have an extractor and whatnot. So it's like, oh wow, okay. But I think Beretta now, it's just it. I remember putting it out there as a joke to Ernest, like, hey, we should, put a red dot on and do a trigger job on this, like on the Bobcat. And he's like, okay, that I don't think there's a market. And now here we are. There's 32 with an optic on it. It's like, you have kind of like, there's a great like April Fool's prank or whatever. Mm-hmm. And now we've jumped the shark and it's no longer a pocket gun. Come on, man. What are you going to do? Out Caleb Giddings or something like that,
Yes.
But anyway.
I mean, we already thought he was silly enough with his revolvers with red dots. I mean, but hey.
Hey,
there's no bumpy glowy red thing on there yet.
No, there's a bumpy glowy green thing on the front, but that's about it. But sorry to point it at the camera. But
I'm not hurt. No internet. If you're hurt, wah. I mean. Yeah. My buddy Tony Salas, he always pretty much freaking pocket carries a revolver just because he's like, I'm too lazy to put on real pants, so it's shorts time.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I mean, I was rolling around on the car and everything like that, so this thing gets carried quite a bit. Either that or a little 32. So, but yeah, but
nothing wrong with that. But last few questions I did have for you. I don't know with, your changing job. I don't know if you're able to have any sponsors or partnerships, but, or this might be the part where you shout out some, people you've worked with. Honestly, we've talked about Ernest and Amy Langdon already. So.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting where all that goes. I don't really have any sponsors. I've kind of prided myself on being a little bit of I wouldn't say a free agent, but just a dude that goes out and shoots and tries to do well. Ernest and Amy have definitely helped out a lot. They've made the Beretta really cool again. Wilson Combat really did awesome stuff. And both of those companies are doing awesome stuff. Of course, I really like Beretta firearms. They're really neat. But you got to find out whatever's going to work for you and explore and find out what pistol works and what system works. Do you like irons or optics and just get out there and compete, get out there and shoot one or both of the sports just find it. So, big shout out to the Langdons, big shout out to Wilson Combat. And yeah, they've been wonderful people to work with. So
Absolutely. So Les, for if you want people to get a hold of you, where is the best place for them to reach you at?
sure. I'm Les Pepperoni on Instagram. That's all one word. My last name is long and horribly complicated, so Pepperoni has been a nickname forever. So Les Pepperoni. Send me your hot dog pictures or your not hot dog pictures that way, but Chicago style hot dog pictures, and pizza pictures or whatever. And I promise I'll be posting more and get back to it in a little bit. But yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And Les, thank you for sitting down with me. This has been a good one. It's kind of nice because we know enough of the same people, and it's always good to have these conversations with people that you really don't know, but you kind of know through stories. So
sure, yeah. Well, God, what stories have you heard?
Oh, I mean, maybe I'll take that offline, but they're none bad.
Okay.
But,
God, all right, yeah.
But like I said, Les, thank you for your time, and listeners, get out and do the things. I will see you on the next one.
Awesome.